Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Thursdays with Maurice. I'm so excited to be back with my dear friend Maurice and looking forward to see what comes up today. As all of you followers of this show know, that Maurice and I do not plan ahead. We aren't kibitzing beforehand about what all that we're going to talk about. This is truly two spirits coming together and allowing the magic to flow. And by magic, I mean to allow just the coming together of two minds and two hearts and just seeing what's moving through us together and what kind of wisdom and what kind of, what the topics. So we'll just see what happens today. Now, I always do come up with a starting point. So I'm going to be asking Maurice something to get the whole conversation flowing because that's my job. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome, Maurice. It's so good to have you on the show again, because you are the show. There is no Thursdays with Maurice without Maurice. Duh.
Yeah, I kind of missed the conversation, but you've been busy doing things that you needed to do, and things happening in life.
Maurice, to start the conversation, you did a post just the other day, and it's a very simple post. It was a quote from the ancient order of the Hermetics. And then you extrapolated something very interesting from it that I feel is just spot on for me. And what I know to be true, when something's spot on for me and when something's really in the air as far as my journey, my personal journey goes, by God, the more people I talk to, it's common. It's other people are experiencing the same things. Have you found that too, Maurice?
Yes.
It's, you think you're having like this isolated experience, like, oh, I've been real tired lately. I've been thinking about this. I've been doing that. And then the more people I talk to, it's like, yeah, I've been the same way. I love that.
Yeah, that part is true. And I've noticed it more and more. That's something that I've really noticed. I've been around a while, and I recall how it used to be amongst people. I've done all these things that everybody else is doing or has done. I've worked. I've had a family. I've been married. I've been to school. I did the whole 9 yards of it. In different eras. Thing is, I started in the 40s, and I got to say, in the 40s, things were different in the world than they are in the 2020s. I've lived through this stuff, and I wasn't just a baby in the 60s. I was an adult in the 60s. I was in there with those people that were. I didn't go to the Chicago convention, but I watched it on television, and I was in amongst. I knew people who did. I actually knew people who were involved in that kind of stuff and talked with them. And they listened to what I had to offer then, too. Now, granted, I wasn't a big leader, but I was an influencer of the people around me. I have a way about myself that when I say something, usually it's on point. And they listen for whatever reason. But that's not my nature to be a leader. To say, look at me, I know all the answers and follow me. No, I'm sitting there behind the scenes talking to the guy in the ear after he gets done doing this thing and saying, okay, that's cool. Have you thought, let's watch this, that, or the other thing the next time, because that's a possibility. That's the role I've always played, which is just basically a behind the scenes freaking counselor person.
I totally see that in you, Maurice. Absolutely. And how powerful it is now, I would imagine, because of age and wisdom, being an elder, officially an elder. It's like that too throughout my life. I always had an elder quality to me that attracted people that wanted answers or help or understanding or even wisdom, even as a young girl. Now, my wisdom obviously has changed and grown over time. We all carry certain spirits, certain essences of how we function. And knowing that is really important. And that's going to lead me into this exactly perfect segue, Mr. Maurice. And this was the quote that you put on Facebook was, peace exists within you at all times. Just stop and breathe. Find your center. Now, if that doesn't open up just the absolute most vital doors to anything and everything. And it was beautiful because the point you made in here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because I want to talk to you live about it, is like what you were saying right just a minute ago about certain people that being up on the stage that want to be in the center of stuff. Not everybody, but there's sometimes a tendency for people out there more is to be gathering data, gathering ideas, and then sharing them back out as opposed to internalizing them and becoming them and really having that eternal alchemy process happen.
Right.
And I think that's what, for me, when I hear you speak, what I know of you now, but when I hear you speak of when you were younger, that I think you probably just naturally always did that, right? Is if you heard something, you put it through the litmus test by living it, by not just mentally turning the wheels. It's like getting into the emotion, the heart through action.
Right.
Could you share a little bit about your response? Because I think your response to that whole thing of just stop, get centered, and breathe. And that's called coming home. I mean, I did a video recently with Jaron Kenyon about coming home. It's like magical realism is just coming home to self. And let's unpack that a little bit, because I think that's so important. And you've got a great viewpoint on it.
Okay, well, the thing of it is, I actually wrote, it was about a paragraph, and I don't remember what I said, but I know the essence of it. But if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind. I wrote, this is what when I make a Facebook post, a lot of times I'll put my thoughts in the comment introducing it, and then let the show whatever it was, and which is what you brought out. And if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind reading what I wrote it, because I think it was for.
Oh, please do.
Yeah,
I love it. Go ahead.
I said, this is actually true. I know. In the heat of the moment, most all of us have managed to forget this or not even know this. I will offer the more, quote, centered we find ourselves as our general state of being, the easier it becomes to have this as a fallback position, rather than just a wisdom saying among many other wisdom sayings, among a whole bunch of other, quote, data points. I think that leads to a larger observation. To me, data is useful, but in the end, we have to, and actually do, determine for ourselves just how to prioritize in a sort of a hierarchy of needs kind of a way how we do that. This leads me to an even profounder observation, also true. We, individually, determine what is right and what is wrong for ourselves, not society, not religions, not authority figures, no matter who they claim to be. In the end, quote, we are our own arbiters of truth, and on an individual basis. I know I wrote that and I said, damn, that's pretty good. And that says exactly what I mean when about that minute. And then the quote, you brought it up. It was a meme post. It was a picture with that quote about the center is always within you. It's always there. All you have, and how do you touch it? You don't have to think about it and do some kind of dance or something or offering to some god in the sky somewhere on the hill somewhere. All you have to do is take a deep breath and recognize that's how it works. And just that's that combination of knowing something and doing it, putting it into practice, letting it flow through. We're here as physical beings. Let us be physical. We have
It's so true, Maurice.
capacities, so use your mental capacities. That's the combination. That's the flow in action.
How I perceive the great awakening that we find ourselves in on this planet right now. And there is a great awakening happening. And for me, what that looks like is people stopping for a moment and taking a deep breath and finding that it's all within them and it's always been there. That's the great hoodwinking of society, right? For thousands of years, the great hoodwinking has been to hide that fact from people. And we don't have to go off in all the agendas with that, because the viewers of this show will be well aware of all the possibilities in that realm. But there's nefarious players that have been competing for the minds and the hearts of mankind, but especially through the mind, you can get, cut off the heart. And the great awakening.
That's the great yabbit. And you know that word, yabbit. You say something and it's yabbit. Why do be your king? Yabbit.
Yabbit. Yeah, but yeah, it's the great, yeah, but it's the opposite of the Great Awakening, because Great Awakening is personal responsibility. There is no yeah,
That's
buts. It is just
they're
is.
just
And it's
exactly.
in,
Yeah, but any thought of this, that
that's so
they were
cute.
going back into the land of confusion, which is the mental realm. That
It is the mental realm. Can we just talk about, oh my, I'm writing things down because your first thing you talked about, there's so many starting points for great conversation from that. So I don't want to lose the thread, because we go off fishing when we start talking. And it could be we're talking about this and it goes over here and there. And so I'm never worried about a lack of stuff to talk about with you. But yeah, but and yeah buts are two different things. That's filler words, and the other ones is an excuse, right? It's that big excuse that, let's say the Great Awakening is about taking personal responsibility, and to know that no matter what's happened to you, because I know bad things do happen, and sometimes we feel like there's nothing we could have done about it at the time, especially if we were a child. And we don't need to get into karmic things or past life stuff, but let's just do practically what's here and now. I'm not saying to everybody that there are no victims. In one sense, maybe there's not, but in this world, bad stuff does happen to good people that are doing the right thing. It's just the nature of this realm and the nature of catalysts for each one of us. So the whole thing with having stuff happen is going to be, how are you going to deal with it? And in the Great Awakening is we deal with it. We just take responsibility. It's that there's nothing out there that can do anything in here. You can do whatever to this body. You can hit or do whatever, violations, which hopefully not, but it's just no one can touch your soul. The only point is illustrating, nobody can touch this. And as we get firmer in this, then there's that field of our personal power starts to build and extend out, and we become impenetrable on physical levels and mental levels and all the other realms. But it starts with building this inner core strength. It all's determined on that.
Let me offer something here. It's not something you have to do overtly that you haven't quite done yet, except one thing: allow it. Allow it to grow. Recognize it's there. You have to say yes, but you don't have to. It's not just a verbal thing. It's an interior thing. You and every one of us listening to this knows you can bullshit the external world forever and ever, but you can't bullshit yourself. And you got to know it, and you got to be operating in integrity in this regard.
Well, I think you can bullshit yourself for a time, but you can't bullshit your spirit, and you can't bullshit your soul. So inside of you, that core of truth, you cannot pull it over. You can pretend. You can, that's the whole thing. Yeah, but they did this and they were like, they're a narcissist and they're blah, blah, blah. You can pretend for a period of time that was the problem. But ultimately, the more you calm down and take a breath and just center, it's like, all right, yeah, I get it. I get my part in it. And isn't that the first step to anything, is just say, I get my part in it. I fess up. You don't have to fess up anybody out there. The first step, just fess up inside.
That's all it is. It's an internal. I mean, everybody says it, but literally, it is true. It's an internal journey. Really, that's what we're on. The external world is there. Honest to God, it's an overlay. You look around, everything is an overlay. My God, it's just, there's so many different ways to point it out. You can get lost in all the different ways and lose your way in the process, because what are you actually here to do? It's to become centered, to become a, quote, divine being walking this earth. There wasn't just one.
No, and the real masters, they came and said, I'm like you, you're my brothers and sisters. My awakening, my fulfilling in all this beautiful, magical way of being and capabilities is that you have them too.
Absolutely.
I don't know one pure master that came in and said that, or true master that came in and said, nope, I'm special. I'm just the son or daughter of God, and sorry about the rest of you, because I was made special.
Be like me. So you might as well give up now.
I know. Oh my God, it's so true. But this, right, you're saying, Maurice, this is the key, is understanding that It's not all within you, but it's all around you. I'm starting a new book series I was telling you about before we started. And this isn't going to be a fictional like my other series. This is my philosophy, my wisdom of life. And the first book is going to be Aging with Purpose and the 5 steps. And the first one is something I coined, and it's called the Law of Containment. The Law of Containment for me is, if you don't mind, Maurice, if I just do a quick explanation, because I think it's spot on for what you were saying. We are taught on all different levels that we have this little light inside of us, and God, source, higher self, whatever you want to call it, is out there. And we have to connect that. We've got to connect those two. I got to grow my light big enough and strong enough so I can reach up there and grab onto the hand of God. It's like the Sistine Chapel, the touch of God. I got to reach up there and connect. And so there's this separation, right? So that little story says that I'm separate from God, I'm separate from source, I'm separate from higher self, which is a big fat lie. Big fat old lie. And I'll tell you what the insidiousness of that lie is that separation then has all kinds of nefarious agendas can come in to say, yes, and I understand I'm connected to source. I will connect you, but you have to go through me. Hence, we've got all the savior behavior going on right now with all kinds of people that we know, we don't know, we see in media, we've met. That there's this whole thing that people are just scrambling for somebody to rescue them because they feel separate. So in the Law of Containment this is how I see reality, to use simplistic geometric terms, circles within circles.
Okay.
So we have like the biggest circle would be the circle of source, which really isn't a circle because there is no outline to it, but we just will contain it for a moment. And then
you're trying to paint a picture or a visualization.
I'm just painting a picture. It's the finger pointing to a moon. And that's all I'm saying. I'm the finger. And then there's a circle inside the big circle, and that would be your higher self, your divine being. And then there's you inside of that. So it's contain, contain, contain. You can't not be connected to the higher self or the source, because if you were disconnected, you wouldn't exist. And you can never not exist. So you're never disconnected from source. It's impossible. But this is the possibility is in that circle. I call this membrane that contains you the membrane of free will, the membrane of sovereignty. That's what you have control over. And you can make that thing as solid as a rock so none of that light of you can permeate in. And this is where you said the word allowing. You cannot allow it in, but it's all around you. You're contained in you. You're contained in your purpose, your identity, your everything. And the reason why you're here, everything you're contained in. It's just, what are you able to let it in? So practices like meditation, being calm, quiet, breathing, all these beautiful ways that helps relax that membrane. Mm-hmm. So the light of you can get in, and then it builds, and then you can shine your light forth because you're connected. You've allowed you. So that for me is what I call the law of containment. It is there. You already have it all. And this time back, this is the great awakening that's happening right now. People waking up to this fact. I don't have to do nothing. All right, I just ranted on, but I'm passionate about it. Take it away.
I would like to add one little refinement on what you just said. The last thing you said, this is the great awakening. I think it's more the great remembering. And that's not just a mental in your mind. Remember to put it frickin' back together. Remember it. And
yep, having all the members together.
It's a reunification, a remembering.
It is, because what does the world do? The world dismembers. It's divide and conquer. It's the art of war, is to dismember. So it's take the membership, chop you up, separate you from who you really are in your higher self, which is a part of God, which is this beautiful, powerful being, dismember it through a various series of lies, right? And the first lie is that you're separate from you. You're separate from God, and you're not worthy. Then the next thing, you're not worthy of that connection. Original sin, we know that one. Lie.
The Catholics use, I don't think it, I freaking know it. I was raised a Catholic, I know that.
We all, no matter we believe it or not, if you look at the insidiousness of that's imprinted deep in the subconscious of mankind. Because if you really trace back any of our personal woes, societal woes, it really comes back down to that fear of not being worthy.
Bingo.
That, I feel, is like the absolute core of all our troubles right there. If we just remember.
It keeps you on the defensive always, no matter what you.
Yes, and looking for somebody else to do it for you or to help you or to, well, I mean, help is fine, but because you need help remembering sometimes. I still need help remembering. I forget. It's part of the thing down here. We're in this dense matter and we're in the land of forgetfulness. We're trying to
breathe. Take a breath.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, take a breath. I love that. Oh, and the other thing you're talking about with that, Maurice, because I think the point's made clear on that. Let's just talk a bit about the whole mind and data, gathering data, because that's part of our journey, right?
One, too.
Gathering data. And what are the pitfalls with that?
You get lost. A lot of data, but you don't have any priority. And ultimately, you're neutralized. You get lost in the world of data, you're neutralized, and you lose sight of what your real purpose is. And your real purpose is remembering what? The unity that you talk about, and I kind of talk about as well, that you really are, and what you're actually here to do. And what are you here to do? You're not here to make $1 million a month, or whatever number of dollar amount, or conquer this, that, or the other to get all of the honorifics of society that a lot of people buy into. I call that the overlay. That's the system that we're confronted with every which way from China, from our first breath onward, as we go back in time, wherever we showed up in time. It was heavier before, but it's still here. Kids today they're being told by their parents, you got to go to school, you got to get a job, you got to get married. That whole 9 yards is still being preached, especially in the West. I don't know what's going on in Africa or China or South America. I don't know, but I would assume their versions of that very same story are still going on.
Yeah, they've got their own paradigms.
They have, and I don't know them.
Programming, paradigms programming.
Sure.
Yeah, because the thing here, Maurice, with remembering and gathering data, we need to remember, and we remember first through the mind. Yeah. And that's why it's so great that we have like really brave spirits out there that are willing to go at established thought, the establishment of archaeology, the establishment of the sciences, of health, of history, of all these different things that are brave enough to call BS on BS, which is fabulous. But the road doesn't end there. Now, maybe that's what they're called to do, and they're the messenger for that. But my advice would be for just the individual is that it's really good to wake the mind up to truth, but it's how you feel and you respond in your heart to it that gets you there. When you're talking, the word to me came minefield. We all know what a minefield is. A minefield in war, they'll plant all the bombs in a field just to catch the enemy by surprise and blow them to smithereens and help cordon off more territory for themselves. It's the same thing with a mind field, right? There are these mind bombs that are put in to cordon us off and to basically take us out. So just be careful about the mind field of data and interesting information. It ain't going to get you there. It may be the starting point. Yes, Maurice.
They're traps. They don't believe they're traps because they appeal to you. And of course, another way of looking at them, they're like rabbit holes. That's another phrase that's been used over and over again, especially over the last 20 years with the internet. You get trapped in one of them, and there's always more data to be had on any given subject, no matter what it is. However long you want to pursue, there's always more data. And that in the end, it's a trap. A trap from what? It keeps you from pursuing the remembering that you're really here for, which is not passed along. That's something that honestly, unless you run into with the internet, and some of the people you talk to are telling that story. The shaman Joel, is one of them. He tells that story. Your spiritual advisor is telling you the same thing. Her version of it, that video you did with the three, and that woman whose name I don't recall because I never heard of her before, she did something. I wish the hell I had a mother that had given me the start that she described. She gave her boys. I don't know of a woman I've ever met that had that insight to raise her boys that way. And
isn't that profound? I haven't heard that before either. I'm not involved in the mom dynamics. I never was a mom by choice. So for me, I still think that's not, maybe it's more common nowadays. That wasn't even on a blip on the screen when I was growing up.
If I'd had that kind of a start, man, I'd be something else by now. I wouldn't be here.
Oh my God, can you imagine for young girls and young boys, it's teaching them how to be what you're born into in this life. You're born in as a boy and a girl. And there's all different, I'm not talking about sexual preferences. Just take that off and let's not get silly down that rabbit hole. We're talking about masculine and feminine, and that there's a spectrum on each, but there is certain essences of masculine. There's certain essences of the feminine, but we're not taught anything of that. And then for how you apply into what degree within you, fine. She was talking about raising little warriors. What is a real warrior? The confusion right now, Maurice, is that many men out there tend to think that they're warriors when really they're men of war. It's not a warrior and a man of war are two different things. And I
don't know that. They don't know that.
They don't. No, because they're not trained that. They're not trained. Then it's uncontrolled testosterone on the loose.
Pretty much.
Which nothing good comes from that.
Yeah.
It may be exciting for a little bit for a woman, but I'm telling you, uncontrolled testosterone that's not connected to the heart is a dangerous.
Well, you guys know, listen, most of the people listening to this are middle-aged at least. What's middle age? Okay, over 40. To me, that's still pretty young.
Yes,
but when I turned 40, I said, geez, I'm 40 years old. I must be old. Good Lord.
Let's go back into being a man of war, testosterone not grounded in the heart, and that we get the current patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We get the current patriarchy that has been for thousands of years now in control, and it's about the negative testosterone sides because it's not connected. And you get domination through power. You get all the horrible things that are have been happening for a long time. About control, and then about how do we settle differences? Well, I just punch you in the face. We just go to war. One of the big things with that is there's just not enough for everybody. So it's me grabbing what I need for me and for my family. Where a woman in charge, a woman's much more concerned with the village. She's more concerned with everybody getting along, having things be smooth, making sure everybody's fed, everybody's got enough stuff. We just have a different way of going about things, a balanced feminine. So it's on both sides because there's an unbalanced feminine.
Yep.
Anyways, we're just kind of going on. But the point is this that remembering is on all kinds of different levels. Robin, who was part of that team of Joel the Perceiver and Elizabeth Seraphine, it was really beautiful to hear from her about how she's raising her boys and doing camps. I think she was saying they're doing boxing training and stuff. So how to fight a fair fight. And when to fight, when not to fight. I'm very happy to have a man by my side that would know how to fight. Yeah. And if it came to stuff like that in this world, you'd never know.
To avoid a fight at all times. There's another way of going at it here, another data field that we've all been down, has to do with energy levels. Low level, medium level, higher level. Raise your energy. What does that mean? Shine your light brighter is another way that people say it. It's allow the flow, allow the flow to expand from greater wisdom, which is the upper realms, if you will. People that spend a whole lot of time with fourth dimension, fifth dimension, 10th dimension, 12th dimension, all kinds of places in between with narrow definitions of each one as best as they can tell at the time. You get the problem is with that, as a general thing, what they're talking about is generally true, but they get lost in the data. And it's subtle as hell. You've got to just remember, hey, wait a minute. My personal greatest wisdom comes not from without, but from within.
Right. And let's just make sure, Maurice, that we're clear, because when we say raise your energy, Maurice and I are not talking about from the mind thing and from a body level. I'm going to more energy, raise my energy, and I'm going to be more energetic. It's not about that. Because in fact, when your energy starts to raise at certain points, you can be more tired physically because there's a lot of internal readjusting that happens. So it's not about energy level of a physical body. It's vibrational
Correct.
levels. It doesn't mean if you feel like, which I have my whole life, I need like a lot of rest. But it's because I am doing a lot of internal work. I've always been one to do internal work. And those kind of things can take a certain bandwidth of energy. I just want to make sure we're clear that raising vibration isn't being more active, and you're not a low vibration person like some politicians would say has a dismissive thing. You're low vibration. You're a low energy person. Like that's a bad thing, because that's not where the game's played, is not how active you are out.
Correct. That
I just want to make sure that we're clear on that, because I can feel that coming in. It's like, oh, but I'm tired a lot, so I guess I'm low energy, I'm low vibration. Don't equate the two. Right, Maurice?
No, that's not what I'm talking about at all when I say that.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
Good point.
Yeah, it's not about how much energy you have physically. Vibration
Another
levels,
way
where your heart's vibrating at.
I have to go back to the word wisdom. Whatever the hell wisdom really is. And I've read some definitions, and they don't really, they talk around it. Wisdom is like being appropriate at all points. Appropriate. Doing the right thing at the right time makes all the difference in the world. And how do you know what that is? You don't know it coming in. You do it spontaneously. Spontaneously in the moment. And your behaviors, and you can do that every moment of your life, especially in interactions with other human beings, but you also have interactions with other living beings too, your animals, your plants even. I know women especially relate to plants more so than I suspect men do, but men do respond to animals, that's for damn sure.
But you're saying just about doing the right thing. You only know what the right thing to do is because you're connected to the field. Once again, you're permeable, you're allowing that energy exchange to happen. And that's where wisdom happens. For me, it's a simple formula, and I'm writing this in my current book, is the formula for me is knowledge plus action equals wisdom. That's the only way you're going to come to wisdom, is that your mind wakes up, and then action isn't the outward doing, but it's applying. It may be an inward thing, but you apply it and you live it and you get wisdom from that. I mean, that's where it comes from. You know, it comes because you have to embody it. If I spew to you facts like, oh, if I read that thing, okay, peace exists within you at all times. Everybody out there, peace exists within you at all times. And I start preaching that I'm not the peaceful person inside. Well, it's going to come back and bite me and probably bite the people that are listening. That's just spewing out knowledge, regurgitating knowledge. Even if it's accurate knowledge, make it your wisdom, right? Your wisdom is because I'm like, all right, if that's true, then maybe I better calm my butt down and sit and spend some quiet time inside and breathe and relax.
And something will happen, and that's the suggestion anyway.
It is. I have the new podcast, Wisdom of the Modern Crone, where I highlight what I think extraordinary women that appear to be ordinary by the world. But they're extraordinary because, oh my gosh, they have lived and they have learned and they've got wisdom now. Maybe I'll have people on that channel that do have worldly acknowledgement and success. Great. But then the ones that are just your average, oh my gosh, do not judge a book by the cover.
That's for
Because I've talked to more women that people would just dismiss. Oh, she's just, and oh my God, they're freaking powerhouses of wisdom. And you know them. You know exactly, Maurice, because I met some of them through you. You know, powerhouses. Wow.
Yeah. And they look at me. They don't live their lives waving flags saying, look at me. They don't.
Nope. They quietly go about their business, and when opportunity presents itself with grace and love and kindness, they won't flinch. They won't hold back. But see, this is where the wisdom is, right, Maurice, is knowing what to say when and when to shut the F up. That's a big thing. That's something that's come with me with age. It took a long, long time. You know, not that I'm like I've got it all, but I'm way better than I was when I was younger about knowing when to say it, when not to
That's
say
because
it.
you're more in the flow. I keep going back to that in my own mind a lot without verbalizing it. But what you're talking about again is that's that remembering that I was referring to earlier. When you put that, when you allow that to happen, and that's what we are. We're the freaking valve down here in that regard. If we open up to that, flow is there. It's always there. It's just that we haven't opened the valve enough to let it flow through us as us. So we walk around in confusion and struggle for quite a while in our lives until it dawns on us that maybe there's some truth in that. And whether they use the language that I'm using or another version thereof, it's the same process. It's opening up to the greater wisdom that's available to each and every one of us, as us, through us.
Because we're contained in it. It's all around us. It's there.
You started this off with that verbalization of a sphere. And within that sphere is a smaller sphere with a name of this, that, or the other thing, your higher self. And then you got a smaller sphere, which we call us, individuals with names. Elisa and Maurice here for 2. Okay, we're the smallest, but if we open up to that bigger is there, and it's not different from us. It's us flowing through us, only at a greater level. The higher wisdom that is contained within that greater level. And that's that however that happens within an individual, it's an internal process. It's not done from without, it's not granted to you, it's not given to you. You take it or you allow it. It isn't even a taking, it's an allowing. It's a saying.
It's an allowing. Yeah, it's that taking that breath and being calm and allowing. It's yours. It's your birthright. It is yours.
For those,
you don't have to do nothing to earn it. You were born
that's
with
correct.
That. You know, you're
worthy.
You
are it. The only thing that we lack is a recognition of that fact. And once it dawns on us that it is a fact, or it could be a fact, and we open up to it, it becomes a fact. I'm sitting here saying that is what happens.
It's true. And I think that if you could just make one adjustment, my suggestion of that adjustment would be to relax into your worthiness.
Yeah, boy.
Relax into that you are loved 24/7. Always have been loved beyond your wildest imagination. And if you haven't ever tapped into the love field through meditation, through whatever it takes to get you there, but it's the tapping in. And when you tap into the love field, there is nothing like it's heart-blowing, mind-blowing what the higher realms contain, the amount of love for you, because you are worth it. It's not even a question.
All you got to do is take that big breath and let it out and take another big breath and you'll feel it. Literally, you don't even have to go into meditation. All you have to do is take a big breath, let it out, do it again, and just see what it feels like. And no, big words don't run across your head. You don't get the great messages of wisdom that you can go make $1 million on and none of that stuff. It's the feeling thing. It's there. It's always there.
It is. It always has been there for you. It's nothing to achieve. It's nothing you have to do to get, right? Just do it. Just do it. You got to do things to get things. That's one of those other lies that keep us separated from the truth of who we are. You don't have to do anything. Like Maurice said, just take a deep breath and relax into, maybe if you don't feel it yet, so you don't really have wisdom around it, but if you even just consider that it could be possible what we're saying, you just consider the possibility of it. Maybe you've tapped into it a little bit here or there, maybe not, but just consider that and then just test it. Test it for yourself.
Absolutely.
See what you find.
There is a phrase that often, not so often, but not often enough times repeated, be in the world, but not of the world. So you actually have to do things to be in the world. And that's the compromise. That's the balance thing that we have to learn how to find our center point in. We'll do that and then we can walk steadily forward. So yeah, I still have to eat. I still have to generate income one way or another to live it, to be.
You got to pay your taxes. Sorry, but you got to pay
That
taxes.
part's being in the world, but that's not being captured by the world if you're not of the world. And you and I are talking about the of the world is the world that we're talking about, the greater you. And people know that. Again, the people that we're talking to or who are listening to this, they understand already this kind of information. But
just
for you.
But hopefully we're bringing it into wisdom. Bringing it into helping them to remember at a deeper level.
It's there.
I was thinking when you're talking, Maurice, about what the Master Jesus said: "Give unto Caesar what Caesar."
Yeah, that's an version of it.
That's being in the world, but not of the world. Yeah, I pay my taxes. I have to make money. As much as money, and all this is built on false paradigms and is run by the World Bank and blah blah blah. All this stuff about it, but what's the thing? If I don't pay my taxes, how good am I sitting my butt in jail? I don't really want to be sitting.
So that's
in jail.
So you do it. You do it, and it become your trap or your rabbit hole. The most important thing. It's important, yes, but it isn't the whole story. And you have to remember that this is a bigger story than just that. And if you even just keep that in your mind, it'll keep you more towards your center point, more towards your point of balance, so you can deal with the external world more easily.
Right. We've heard the analogy of when you feel like you're on a little life raft bouncing in the seas of life and victim of where the next storm's coming, and you don't know your destination, but where the wind's going to blow me, where the tide's going to take me, where's the current, all these things. We're not at the helm of our own ship, but the truth is you are at the helm of your own ship. You just jumped off on a lifeboat, but your ship's right there waiting for you. Jump the heck back on it. Learn how to drive that ship of you, because there's enough information out there where you can bring in this data of understanding to help you remember the truth. I've had with people talking to me and me talking with other people, and you share a truth bomb with them. And they're like, of course, I knew that. I may never have heard it before. I've never articulated, but I know that.
How do you know?
So you get that feeling. It's like, I just remember.
There you go. That's why we're just sharing. You're sharing to where you've come to, and you're trying to pass along the best wisdom that you know as you know it. And I do the same thing where I'm coming from. So we both have the luxury of sitting in our own living rooms here.
I know, blessed are we that we're just off that treadmill.
There's a whole world out there right now that is competing with each other. They're already punched the clock if they still got clocks where they go to work, or they're working somewhere. There's that whole world that is coexisting with us right now, and yet here we are, two people talking.
Yeah, because I'm telling you what, trying to win at the game of the world that the world's presenting is a really tough one. And but you can be a part of it. You have a family you need to feed. You have whatever you need, a roof over your head. You need food on the plate, and some of us are still in the programming. It's not, I shouldn't say stay still in, because some of us are meant to be, because we need lights within the program, right? There's nothing wrong with having a job that's part of the programming. You can be awake within that and partake in that, but not be of it.
There's another thing too in that and it's not like you're guilty of anything, but you have to forgive yourself for having done that. Say, I did 30 years doing this, that, or the other thing, and it was wrong. No, it wasn't wrong at the time. It was you at the time. Now you're here. Now you get a chance to manifest you now with this wisdom, with this understanding, where before you were not in a position to be able to do it. Enjoy your newfound freedom, if you will. Because
and that would be for people like technically retired, if that's what you want to go by that. But there are stages in life. The stage of being the child, the teenager, coming into adulthood, and then into our later years, and finally into our elder years. And each one of them has different things we're interested in, different responsibilities. It's just different. I see this shift from my life from the physical to the mental to the spiritual. even though I had to focus on the spiritual as a young girl. But the main thing is like, oh, this physical body, it's like this rawness of sexuality, of exercise, working and physical and doing it. And then pretty soon that kind of starts going away. Your energy shifts to a different place where you're really like, I feel like more in the mental realms of things. And then finally it all kind of comes together. At least this is my journey coming together in my later years of where I'm more focused on a different purpose. I have a different purpose in my life right now than I had when I was younger, right? And it's just, and even for out there, whoever's listening, you have a job, a regular job. Maybe it's not healing people. It's not doing all those things we think are like the goal sort of things when you awaken. No, we need like a chop wood, carry water, for the love of God. If you're in the program, just don't have your heart caught up in it. Don't start reacting from that same paradigm of scarcity. Still be gracious and generous and show love and shine your light wherever you are, because that's where you are. And it's about being right in the moment. There's no judgment about that. There's no you should this, you should that. Right, Maurice? It's just, where are you? Where are you right now?
That is what actually is happening. You are where you are. Now, the question is, do I stay there? And is that the end of the road, or is there more growth available to me? And those that are interested in continuing growth, listen in on things like this. And it's not, and most of what we say back and forth between us, our listeners already know within themselves, but what we're doing is giving voice to the reality that they're not alone. And that in and of itself is, to me, is worth the doing.
It's just that sense of being afraid of your worthiness. I say that it's just pushed in, ground in deeper through a sense of being alone. If something's wrong with you and you're alone, we all have the battle of the waking up and taking our autonomy and our sovereignty back. And it may have different flavors for everybody because we're here to learn different things. We have different assets and we have different liabilities. We have strengths, we have weaknesses. I think it really comes down here, Maurice, for me, is just this forgiving yourself. And there's nothing wrong with where you are. As you change your vibration, things change with you. It'll give way. Things will change in your world. And there'll be a more accurate reflection of where you are. That light needs to be everywhere, shown everywhere in this world. Just find your light. First, find your light and then start sharing. Just shine your light in the world. You don't have to do anything. Just be it. Just be that light.
Exactly. Touch base.
And then watch happen.
Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly and do it again.
I love it, Maurice. Oh my God. It's just practical because it is easy and it's simple because it's who we are. It's how it's meant to be. It's natural. Gen of people is just a step back into the flow of nature, the flow of who you are.
I've read a lot of things. I listen to people that are experts in a lot of different fields, and they don't talk over my head. But I don't come from that. Person Joel, a guy I really, by the way, he knows all about that shamanism. Well, he knows that when he speaks as an authority figure. You take his word. When he says something about what the Toltecs stand for, you trust that he knows that from having studied it and learned it from people who know what they're talking about. So you take him for being an expert. I don't try to come off as an expert at anything, except I like to hear what it's like from a person's point of view walking this earth, who doesn't have a wisdom tradition at his base that he can flip the page and say, okay, this is how I do that. We do it from within ourselves as individuals. And we don't have the resources available of a Don Juan or a Carlos Castaneda, if you will, or Rudolf Steiner, for instance. People study these people. They know and believe me, those guys were brilliant in what they were sharing and the wisdom that they were sharing and the insights that they were sharing. But the world that they lived in is not the world that we live in. And
well, I think too.
That's okay. Sorry. That's okay. I stop at any moment. Go ahead.
I think that's so important because it's one of the things that I've had to come to understanding within myself, because Elizabeth, who's been on my channel a couple of times, who I studied with for an intense apprenticeship for a year, comes from many different lineages that she studied with the masters for years and years and years. She's very disciplined. It took me a little while to really understand and acknowledge that we're built very differently. I'm not built for that. I am not one to sit down and to discipline and study and to carry what I call horizontal lineages, which is a beautiful and powerful thing.
I agree.
I'm built for creatively bringing stuff in the now in a very different way. And there's one's not right, one's not wrong. The two come together and it's beautiful magic. And it's just different avenues. We always talk about that, the route back to source, back to remembering. I think back to, because we're in it, of just remembering. There's different routes to it. I love what power is developed in the individuals. For Joel and Elizabeth as examples, I love what they bring into the world and into my life personally, based on what they've done. And I bring incredible things into their worlds too, I venture to say. But it's a different thing, So there's no judgment of like, oh, I've never done that and I don't do that, so I have nothing to say about wisdom. No, that's one way, that's one route of wisdom. There's other ways wisdom comes through.
Absolutely true.
I just want to be this caveat there, because it's another trap of self-judgment to fall into, because I'm not like that and I haven't done that. And it's,
fun thing,
it's not.
Part of me, there's been times when I say, geez, I wish I knew all of that, or I had that information at my disposal, because it's just so overwhelmingly beautiful and wondrous. But the thing is, I sit here with not having that, and then I sit here and recognize it immediately as truth and wisdom and understanding. And the side thought, the trap thought is, they know all this, I'll never know this, and I can't know it. That's bullshit. That's just you beating yourself up like you're just talking about. It's just a different version. And one that I don't have. I can't be a woman. I can sit and appreciate womanhood, and I do. The older I get, the more I do. What you guys actually really do. And how you do it, even in your confusion, you're still doing it. It's really amazing what you guys do. Because I just don't come from that world. But on the other hand, I do things as a man that you guys don't do. And I just take them for natural and granted, just the way I look at things. And I get a little pissed off internally about the stereotype that I feel coming my way. You're just a dumb man, but I'm not a dumb man.
And you're old. What do you know? What you're not relevant. All that BS.
Anyway, but I never get involved in those. I just shut up and just swallow it.
Just let it go by.
Yeah. But
let
back
it go
to the
by.
point, but all of us are people that are just living it. We're not tradition carriers. And the tradition carriers are fewer and further between. And they're very valuable, very useful, and very unique in what they do. And man, I appreciate what they share. But it's not my path either. My path is, that's why I talk the way I do. I talk to it as a fellow traveler of a fellow human being. I feel it that way too. No, I actually feel where they are as opposed to where they need to be more. And then I have the background knowledge enough to say, okay, this will help to move them not to the end, but to the next step. As long as you can help somebody one more step along the way, or reduce their pain a little bit, you've already accomplished your little piece. It's a little, honestly, I said it, it's true. You'd be surprised how valuable doing the right thing at the right time and in the little things make so much difference in the world.
Oh, Maurice, I just have chills going through with that, because that just speaks to my soul. You're calling about just being it. Just be it. Just be the conduit for love. The conduit for grace and beauty. Just be that. And whatever's needed, that's the vertical lineage that needs to come in right now. Just be the carrier of that.
That's it.
The carrier of love.
That's right. You just need to be you. You're here to do your thing as you. That's more important than actually anything.
And is more potent, potentially more potent. You get a leader out there, and we see him all over the place, they're not grounded in the truth of who they are, that really wield power, may never be in a position of power that the world would
Generally
say,
speaking,
because they're sitting quietly in their farmhouse in the middle of Illinois, and they're just quietly cooking a pot of stew or tilling the field or doing something. But man, they're power sources. When the angels look down at the world and they see the beacons of light, that's not the beacons from people that have a lot of stuff or a lot of money. It's where's the quality of their heart, and they're connected to who they
absolutely.
are. So it's not measured in the worldly
Well,
sense.
I'll share this one thing, and I know you found yourself in this role along the way too. I certainly have. Many of the time, I thought I was the only one in town that felt the way I did. And most of us, as I passed through life and met more and more people, they all felt the same way. Growing up, or in their middle age, their young age, their middle age, they felt like they were unique, the only ones, and nobody understood what they understood. And and in your case and others that I know, it started with them in their early life, like 5 and 6 years old. That they were different. They didn't know how they were different, generally speaking, but they knew that they were different, and they always felt different. And nobody was like them, but yet you guys were still in the world, and you still had to be in the world, but you knew down you weren't in the world, you just didn't know how.
That's a lot to reconcile. Let me tell you, that's been my life pattern. That was a lot to reconcile as a little girl.
Yes. And a lot of them are still, I have to say, still trying to figure it out. But knowing that, sharing that, helps in a situation that neither one of us knows somewhere. Somebody listening to this is going to run into somebody that expresses a version of that, and they'll be able to say, wait a minute, I've heard 2 people talking about this, and this is how this will help. That conversation will help me respond to in the moment of what's in front of me as me, with that insight.
That's personal power. If we can help people to just wake up and accept their personal power, which is a God-given thing, you got it. You may not have nurtured it or grown it or accepted it in, but by acting from the place of alignment of spirit, just one little act of graciousness and kindness and sharing that love, that starts to build your own personal power and reminds you of your self-worth.
Yeah. Well, the more you do that, the more you become that. You grow. Again, that more growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's there. It's all, believe me, the tank is not empty. All you have to do is...
there is enough gas to power you for the rest of your life. But that doesn't mean, once again, speaking from a person that doesn't need a lot of rest and stuff, because I bring through a lot of creativity and I'm dealing with a lot of connection. It takes a lot of energy to do that. That being fueled doesn't mean to go out there and just be busy and run around and stuff. Being fueled by the ethers is to have the energy to be you, whatever that looks like. I love it, Maurice. Thank you. Oh my goodness gracious. We can talk on and on. And we do.
That's good. That's fine.
That's good. I know. I want to be cognizant of people's time and not have these super, super long videos. In fact, I don't watch a lot on YouTube anymore unless it's a shorter video, because I have a lot of things creatively that are coming out of me, and I just don't have that much time to give to things.
I think a lot of people are in a similar situation, even the ones that are one way or another retired or homebodies. To a degree, you are. Although you've got an external world that you still function within, but you're being pulled out of the house 8 hours a day on a regular basis. You're not.
My work is
Correct.
here.
There's a lot of people that are able to do that nowadays that didn't formerly.
It's some of the benefits that happened out of those years of that whole situation. Yep. There's some good things that came out of it.
There were learning experiences in there as well.
There absolutely were. Learning how nice it is to be able to work from home.
That's another one. Something else I've seen enough times, and it's been more than a few. Even the most horrible things that seem to occur to people along the way, if they manage to make it through, as time progresses, it made them better people. No matter how horrendous it seemed at the time, if you take a look at the whole picture, they were, look, you say, Jesus, that had to happen. And then you start finding all kinds of reasons why that had to happen, not only for them, but maybe for the others involved. Opportunities for growth, for change, for making decisions, life decisions. And once that whatever period of time ends, and then the next stage comes along, the next door opens that they ended up walking through, whether they realized they did or not, they find themselves in a whole different situation. And the trauma of whatever it was starts to fade. It never loses, depending on how serious, you may never forget about it, but you don't live there anymore in your daily moments. And that's from a third party, or looking at it from not a active participant. You say, well, damn, that's a growth period for that person, and they grew. Congratulations, they did well.
Yeah. It sums it up, Maurice, is the things that happen aren't happening to you, they're happening for you.
Agreed.
And I think that's the key that you said right there, is when you can unlock why the things that have happened to you in your world and are currently going on, they're happening for you. So if it's a loving universe, then what is the message? What am I to get out of it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's like a whole other
is it ever
2 hours worth. We're going to save that for another day. I think that's a great one to leave it with, is the world is happening for you. Just remember that your world is for you. It may not feel like it, but if we can just stop a moment, take a breath, and realize I'm worthy, the world's happening for me, let's start creating it in my favor, in a nice way.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh my God.
That insight, I didn't say it that way, but man, you recapitulated it perfectly. The world is happening for you, not to you.
I love that. Well, Maurice, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And I hope that this has been a fun journey. Even though you've just been listening, I know you've been participating. Hopefully, we've engaged your minds and also your hearts. And it just remind you and help you remember really what the game is going on here. What is the real game, the nature of it, and what we need to do to come back into that place of remembering, of allowing our higher self to permeate into who we are right now. And that's the dance of life, right? Is that beautiful dance of the sovereign, autonomous human being that's choosing to allow their higher self to be a part of this and co-create together. Because I can tell you what's way more fun doing it together with your higher self than trying to forge ahead all on your own in this world. Ain't nothing easy about that. So here's to the new collaboration in the time of the great remembering, the time of the great awakening, is we have got a giant invisible fan club, each and every person. Your invisible fan club, they're rooting for you. They're there for you. Just ask. Just allow. Just take a deep breath and remember, you're there. You got me. You got my back. I'll let you get my back, is what it comes down to. So with that, thank you, Maurice. Blessings to everybody. And as always, peace from within, because that's the beginning, the end, and the whole journey takes place from that place. So thank you, everybody.